What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special early edition of Flyers Talk A2D. If you don't know why, I'm going to tell you why. NHL Draft Lottery just went down. We have the results. We're going to give you our post-results reaction. We're going to see how it's going to affect the Flyers offseason. And we're also going to discuss some trade rumors that could be flying around. I know we already talked about Joel Farabee, but there's a couple other rumors that we could talk about as well. Give a little playoff update as we continue to go, as the Rangers play Game 2 against the Carolina Hurricanes as well. So we'll update you with that stuff as well. So we're going to hit that like, hit that subscribe, guys. Hit that share, hit that retweet, hit it all. It's time to go talk some puck. Let's go.
It is Flyers Talk A2D, and we're powered by the doc. That is Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy LLC, with 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc. Make them yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Matt Sudi's going to be on with us in a matter of moments, probably still reeling from a wild NHL Draft Lottery. As Brian pointed out before our video, we're going to be breaking it all down. So we got Brian Daly, Brad Ryer, and yours truly, Rob Povia. Hey, be sure to hit that like and subscribe for notifications to all your favorite shows on A2D Radio, as tonight will be, as I said, breaking down this NHL Draft Lottery. Flyers drafting at 12. What does it mean for their draft plans moving forward? We'll get into some offseason rumors, peeking in at the NHL playoffs. Obviously, Brad, you have a big game tonight in the second round of the NHL. What's that?
Real big game. Got to hold serve.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So a lot going on.
We've won 7 out of 9 against that, our last 9 against that team, and we've beaten them several times in Carolina. So I'm not even that worried, to be honest with you. But I'd like to hold serve, of course.
Hey, your squad has been one of the most prolific teams in the NHL. I'm sure they have an answer back tonight. Hey, we want your answers and your opinions to our face-off poll, which is: the Flyers will trade up into the top 10 in the NHL Entry Draft. Agree? Disagree? We'll be getting to all of your comments all throughout tonight's podcast. But of course, I'm going to turn it over to our Steam panel. Brian, let's start with you. Flyers are drafting now at 12. We know the answer now. Will Danny B and company try to move that a little higher into the top 10?
I think they do. I think there's a lot of good talent in this draft. Is it super deep? No, I don't think there's a whole ton. After you get out of the top 15, you have Cole Eisenhower, who's going to be a really good player that you can get down in that 12, 13, 14. Although here he can move up to as far as 8. You got Tijja Ginla down there. Could be in that 8, 9, 10 area. So there's a lot of talent here. I think you can get a decent guy at 12. But if you're looking to shed some cap too, if you're looking to try and really shake things up, you got to be able to make a move and get into that top 10. You're going to possibly see a guy, and we'll talk about this a little bit more down the road, see a guy maybe Farabee involved in the trade to get up into maybe that 8, 7, 6 area. You also got possibly Morgan Frost, so you can use as a piece to move up into that same area. So a lot of things can change here. I think they do, because the one thing that we're seeing from Danny is a little bit of aggressiveness when it comes to trades. So hopefully we can see this happen. They can move into the top 10. If they don't, it's not going to kill them. If they can get a guy like Cole Eisenhower to kind of fall to him, he's going to be a very good player. If they can get him at 12, I think the Flyers make out. But if I'm Danny and when Dylan jumps in here, he's not gonna like me for this comment. If I'm Danny, I move up and I try and get that 8 spot, and I try and take Tijja Ginla at 8.
All good points that you make there, Brian. Brad, is there an advantage for a team to be in the top 10 in the 2024 NHL Entry Draft?
Actually, I think if the Flyers really want to make an impact, I think from 1 to 8, at least from what I've read, okay, 1 to 8 is where you're getting really, really slam dunk players. Okay, it kind of ends there. If you want to get to the 8 hole, Okay. You could probably talk to the Kraken. Okay. Because the Kraken are probably going to draft a defenseman, and there are some pretty good defensemen towards the bottom of the draft. If you want to get a top forward, okay, a guy like Cole Eiserman, I have a feeling he may end up going like to Utah. I can't see how they wouldn't draft him in the 6 hole, because you look at it logically. Okay, obviously we know who the first pick is going to be. Most likely Demidov. Is that how you pronounce his name? Ivan Demidov.
Close enough. Yeah,
Okay.
Demidov, I think is how you say it.
Yeah, he's probably going to be the second pick, and your boys are probably going to draft that defenseman. What's his name? Leshuvanov or something like that. The guy from Michigan State.
I've heard Lindstrom, another big power forward. That's the name I'm hearing a lot, but it could be.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Depends on the mock draft too.
I think you need another defenseman more than you need a forward, but those are probably going to be like in the top 4. Then, the 5-6 hole, yeah, you want to get to 6. If you can get to 6, you can definitely get Eiserman for sure. Because I think the first 5 are pretty much going to be very close to set in stone.
Agreed.
I mean, and this is based on my research. Okay, I've got obviously Celebrini number 1, Demidov number 2, I can't pronounce his name. Levizhinov 3, Lidstrom 4, and Dickinson 5. And I went through a bunch of mock drafts, kept a little scorecard to see where most of these experts, what they're thinking, and that seems to be the prevailing stats. So if you can get at 6, if you can get to 6, which is what you really got to try to do, you'll definitely get. If you want Eiserman, that's where you got to get 2. Okay, but if you're at 12 and the draft goes by the chalk, which everybody is saying, it looks like there's a fellow by the name of Michael Hage, Hage, the center, played for the Chicago Wolves of the United States Hockey League. Okay, and he's supposed to be a sniper center. So and after losing Cutter Gauthier, probably he would be a very good replacement for him. He's the same type of player, has great hand.
One thing I'll just throw in, boys, before we welcome Maddie to the program tonight, was I was reading an article on the TSN's website by Bob McKenzie, obviously, quality, legendary analyst, right? And he's really looking down at this draft, and he points out that after Celebrini really picks 2 through 10, could legit get their number 2 ranked prospect, at least to number 6, if not 210. So there is emphasis to get in that top 10. But yet there still may be talent at 12, because after Celebrini, there's sort of a long, you mentioned several of the names. I'm not going to repeat you, Brad, because I probably can't pronounce them either. But but there's not really a consensus in terms of who's that guy. Demidov, certainly, yeah, that could be a top nominee. But then as you get further, it starts to become vague. So this could be a draft where you can, you're getting talent anywhere you pick in the first round. And let's not forget, Flyers will be doing that twice in this first round. So we spoke off, in our chat about, them being in talks with Seattle and potentially around Joel Farabee, and if they wanted to maybe package him with a pick to maybe move in, now that we know that Kraken is picking 8.
Yep.
Right? So that could be a way to get into that 2 to 10. But I think there's a little, as reading through this Bob McKenzie article, just to sum up, guys, not to be too wordy, is that there may not be as much of a need to get into that top 10 as I was actually coming in as recently as last week. But if you do, you're almost guaranteed to get number 2 quality talent overall.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We look at this draft. This draft reminds me a little bit of, I think, what draft was it? The 2017 draft a little bit, where you had talent in that first round, but nobody really wowed you. no like true franchise guy. That's what this one kind of reminds me of. And obviously we see now through that draft, we got your Cale McCarrs, you got your Elias Petterssons, you got Mira Heiskanen, and you got all these guys that really turned into really solid, really good offensive, defensive NHL players. This is what this draft reminds me of. So you might not get that franchise changer, but you're going to get some elite talent. And that, to me, sometimes is more important than finding your franchise-changing player. Macklin Celebrini, I think, is going to be a very good player for San Jose if they wind up taking him at 1. I'm not going to assume. If they take him at 1, he's going to help any team that's going to draft him. But as far as being like a franchise changer that's really going to put any of these we'll just say the top 5 teams back on the board, there's not really anybody like that. But this is still going to be a very good draft for a lot of teams, and there's a lot of talent here. So any of these top 12 teams, 16 teams, however many it is, they need to be excited because they're going to get some talent.
Right. And if you don't choose to move up like Priz is suggesting here, right, according to Bob's board here, Bob McKenzie's board from TSN, he's got, Carter Yamachuk going at 12. That big rangy defenseman, might have mentioned him before, had 30 goals, 71 points, and 120 penalty minutes. So, I mean, that's a good piece. That's, to add towards this defensive core here as they start to rebuild. And, again, you still have that ladder pick, and you keep the young talent that you currently have. You don't have to trade a piece like a Joel Farabee, like a Morgan Frost, and that pick to only go up a few spots and draft a wider opinion from scouts on where guys will fall. Maybe let it fall to you. So I'm going to disagree with the poll. I'm going to disagree. I wasn't sure until then.
All right. So,
what's up,
hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, apologies for being late.
Oh, good, brother.
I forgot we were going on early. I had a busy day. So
Been there. All good, brother. You're here now. That's all that matters.
All right. So, talking about the draft, honestly, the Flyers trading into the top 10. Here's the thing. Like, I feel like if this draft isn't deep, I almost feel like you should stock up on draft picks for a ladder draft. For a draft that actually is worth trying to trade up in. If this one isn't worth it, why try it? And I'm not saying that there isn't top talent, and there may be great talent later down the line that we'll find out, as you do in all drafts, but that takes time. That's not something that pops up, immediately. It's something that, every now and again, you see after a few years of the draft class getting itself established in the league. Like I said, though, if this isn't a draft class that feels like, okay, this is you must have this guy in your wheelhouse if you want your team to be successful in the future. This is the franchise changer. This is the face of your organization. If this draft isn't really producing those guys, I almost kind of feel like there's really no reason to trade up into the top 10. I know that sounds funny to say, but I feel like look more further down the road. Like, okay, what's the next big draft? Like, where are people looking towards in the future? Like, what's the draft all the GMs are talking about, all of the insiders are talking about, all the scouts are talking about? It's like, this draft class probably isn't going to be all that much outside of the top 5. This is where the next big draft is going to hit. So this is the one you want to stock up for. Like, to me, that's where my head would be at. Like, if you can get something for low risk, high reward, great. If you're trying to build up, build. Don't try to tear down and try to get squirrely with it and try to serpentine your way into something that might turn out to be a bust. Or might turn out to be solid depth, not worth what you gave up. I understand that that's not always a guarantee, but to me, it's like, if this draft isn't producing that next level talent that's going to change a franchise, just play it safe. Don't do anything rash, Or in other words, you may wind up regretting that decision, if not next year, a couple years down the line from now, and realizing, ooh, maybe should not have taken a chance in that draft. Probably should have taken a chance in this one. That's where my head's at.
Makes sense. It makes
Mhm.
sense. I mean, like I said, if you have a shot at getting a potential number 2 talent and you have a good offer to move up, why not? But why
Right.
force the hand? Why force the
Right.
hand? I see your
Yeah.
point there. Whereas, the draft in 2025, where if you're rebuilding this thing, you're obviously idealistically targeting 25, 26 to be that first year that you're going to really be not just a playoff team, but a potential Stanley Cup contender.
Right.
Absolutely. And to Maddie's point, I think this is why I think it is a good idea to possibly maybe take the 24th pick and try and get it in the next year's draft. They're saying that 2025 is going to be a much deeper, stronger draft class. So, I mean, this is one of those few ones where I think you can definitely get your cake and eat it too. Because if you can move the 12 and get up into the top 10, because I do think there's a guy there that will make a difference in this franchise. Changing the franchise is going to be a completely different conversation, but it can make an impact. Go and get him. But I will say this. With that 24, if your guy's not there, if there's nobody you think that's there that will immediately help this team, which sometimes those later first rounds, they need a couple years anyway, trade it and try and get a first round pick for next year. And then give yourself, I think it's a third first round pick in 2025.
Right.
So to me, this is a situation where you can get your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? You can get your pick in 24 and still get your pick next year in 25. But it all depends on how the draft falls.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and like Mike's saying here, next year's draft is supposed to be deeper than last year's draft in 2025. So again, there's things to take into consideration moving forward, since the Flyers are still a rebuilding team. It gives you some flexibility, but it also gives you that sense of, I don't want to, I guess caution would be the word to use, because you don't want to screw it up. You know what I mean? It's very easy to screw up a rebuild.
Now,
It's possible to do it.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick question though. Does, we've seen, the Flyers have, traded, or the rights to one of their goaltending prospects over to SKA in Russia, and we're seeing really good rapport being built between those clubs in terms of getting, Mitchkov over here. And, he posted up on his IG him working out with his Flyers gear on, which was really good to see. Now, does seeing that progress also make you not want to make a jump because you already have a potential superstar on the way, to where, okay, we'll draft where we're at and really hit it up in 2025?
It's definitely something to think about. It's definitely something to consider.
And by that time, Mitchkov could already be getting his beak wet, if not starting to really perform, here in the States at the NHL level.
Right. Right. And let's see here. We've got Mike's all saying Barkey and Bonk are paying off in spades. Prism saying, I trade a first this year for a first next year and a second this year. Between spots 12 and 40, there's not a lot of difference, and none are making the roster this year anyway. Mike also says, what should the next goalie song for the next season be? Maybe Pantera? I don't know. I think Dallas has got that. I think they got the rights reserved on Pantera, unfortunately. But
I think so too.
But I don't know. It's a good question.
Goalies don't usually get drafted until the 4th, 5th, 6th round anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, it's,
unless they're like a really great goaltender. Sometimes they get picked second, third round.
Right. I mean, remember, Lundqvist was picked in the 7th round.
Right. Look what he did.
Yeah.
He did some things. He was
working with a 4th round pick.
I mean,
that's worked out okay. So
real quick, I'm going to actually mute this. But for those who haven't seen it, I hope your little Johnnies get wet, because this is actually kind of exciting.
Okay. Let's see here. Ah.
Wearing the Flyer shirt, getting ready to go, lifting the heavyweights. Let's go, Metvy.
There we are. There
Look
we
at him
are.
go in the Flyers gear. This is courtesy of somebody on YouTube. It is. Want to make sure they get their proper shout out. I can't really read what it says.
There it is. Go back to the.
What was it? Oh, it's a Russian
Yeah.
Flyers site. Flyers. I'm not even gonna try it. But
It's Flyers.
Flyers Ice.
Yeah, Flyers,
Flyers
Ice.
Ice.
Russia.
Is that what that says?
Yeah,
Oh,
Flyers
man.
Ice, because it's just
See,
conjoined together. Yeah.
Damn it. I tried. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Flyers Ice. So I want to make sure you all get your shout out.
Oh my God. We got a Loba Barshman saying, Mike, I'm a psychic and I do all forms of reading. Oh boy. That's
No,
not a
get
good
him
thing.
out of here.
Get him out of here. What are you
Get him
talking
out of
about?
here.
Blocking
Get
you.
him out of here.
Whatever floats your boat.
Do your thing, but not in here.
No.
Yeah.
Here I was thinking we were getting a new. Here we are. Yeah.
Is Jeannie here?
Yeah, I don't know. Either way.
Yeah.
John saying trade pick 12 to a bottom feeder for the first next year's draft. Basically saying a lot what
It's gonna cost a lot.
yeah. Let's see. What's up, Eileen? Hope you're doing well tonight too.
No, I mean, if you draft, you would move back a little bit, trade that, that pick for a first round next year, then, that's an option. That's an option. But, if you're building pieces, I think the best recourse would be just to, draft your 2 picks in the first round, right? You're going to get some quality talent there.
Absolutely. And to John's comment, GMs know a lot more than we do about this next year's draft class. And I promise you now, if they know what this draft class is going to look like next year, none of those bottom feeders are going to trade that pick for a pick this year. They're going to hold on to that. They're going to want it. It just, for them, it wouldn't make any sense to do that. I see why you want to do that, and I don't blame you for trying. Not one bit, but none of those bottom feeders will take that deal.
Guys,
I
if
like
they
the
could
thought
trade
process.
up to 10, okay, there's a center who played at Spokane in the Western Hockey League. Berkeley Catton, guy was the fourth leading scorer in the entire league. He's a center, and he is a huge offensive threat. He is going to be in the top 10. So if you want to trade into the top 10, okay, this guy sounds like, this guy, they're saying the Devils should get him. Okay. They're like encouraging the Devils to get somebody behind Jack Hughes, excuse me.
Right.
So, they say he is a weapon with the puck. He can toy with defenders, bait them into getting close, and then using his edge work around them and playmaking ability to pass it to a teammate. So, this is the scouting report.
Am I seeing this right, Brad? 57 goals and 116 points?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a nice find, brother.
And they're saying he's going to be in the top 10, and they're putting him at number 10.
Interesting.
So I mean, if you could trade up to say 9, because you're not going to be able to trade with the Devils. There's no way they're going to trade with you. You know that. That would just not going to happen. But if you could say go up and trade with Calgary, who's not they haven't exactly exhibited a lot of brain power the last few years, as far as some of the trades they've made and some of the draft picks they've made. Maybe you can get them. Maybe you can get them to go down a little bit. There's plenty of defense. They need defense in the worst way, Calgary. I think they do anyway, and I think it would be a good idea for them if you guys focused on them.
Okay.
I some of these other organizations just seem pretty smart. Calgary doesn't seem like they They completely have their acts together. So you might want to look at them as a possible area to go because, as I said, that center that one center on the that they're saying the Devils are looking at, Berkeley Catton, that guy would really be a asset for you guys. You could use a scorer like that playing center ice.
Okay. Boris Longo saying all first round picks will be lottery protected. No GM is that dumb anymore. Mike also saying any goaltenders in the draft worth trying.
Flyers are deep. Flyers have enough goalies.
They're pretty deep on that one. The top ranking North American goaltender is Mikhail Yegorov, who was playing for Omaha in the USHL. And the top international goaltender is Emil Vinny, who is playing for Joki Pojat in Finland. So that's pretty much the top two in the goaltending class.
Yeah, besides, I mean, the Flyers have Fedudov, who isn't really a prospect, 27 years old, so he's going to start with Urson next year on the big club. Then you have Kolosov, who's probably going to challenge for a starting job in the AHL, potentially maybe the backup job in the NHL. We'll see how it goes. You also have Bjornsson, who's going to be coming over. You have this other kid in, I call him Jaeger Z, who's over in Russia right now. He actually just signed a contract to play in SKA in the Russian league in the KHL to go play with Michkov. So, yeah, they have that. But, I mean, as far as goalies go, Mike, I mean, they're pretty deep. So I don't think they necessarily have to go after a goaltender this year. You could probably sign as an undrafted free agent, but if I'm the Flyers, I try and focus on filling the pipeline with some defensemen and maybe a couple wingers. I mean, they're pretty deep at center too, but like get some natural wingers and maybe some right-handed or some right-handed defensemen. That would be my focus, but that's just me.
Oh, Brian,
you get your sniper.
To add to that, there's a lot of good defensemen towards the bottom of the draft of the first round. So I mean, if the Flyers want a defenseman, they might be best off trading down.
I mean, they're already down there. So, I mean, you have that already. So they're already picking around 24, 25. Oh, it's actually going to be higher than that, depending on how far Florida goes. I think they're like 25 right now, 24, 25 right now. But, I mean, they have that deep pick already in the first round, so you can focus a little bit more. I mean, if Sam Dickinson falls, I don't think he's going to, but if he falls, you can get him. Yamachek, you can think about him at 12. But if you get a really nice 200-foot forward to fall into your lap that has that creative scoring ability that can skate well, you take him at 12 if you don't trade up into the top 10.
And Eileen, to let you know how the Canes are doing, they are down 1-0 to the Rangers.
By the way, the goal was scored by Lafreniere. And to me, it looked like playoff Freddie is out there right now. Very bad angle. You know, Igor's making spectacular saves, and playoff Freddie lets one in from inside the face-off circle about 20 feet on the left-hand side. On the short, it looked like it beat him on the short side.
Yeah, that's a bad goal.
Yeah, did you see it?
Yeah, so I got it playing behind me.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brian, I think you may have been able to stop that one.
That meanwhile, Eileen says, I'm a loyal Flyer.
If he would have hugged the post, he would have had it.
Eileen says, I'm a loyal Flyers girl, but I'd like to lick Brittany's chest.
Technically, you're still staying loyal.
I mean, you are technically
staying loyal. He's a Flyer.
He was. Hot Rod continues his reputation. It precedes him.
Absolutely. Real quick, guys, I'm going to give some love to some of the people chiming into our various posts and groups. So we got Steve Ober over in Flyers Extreme going. He doesn't want to see the Flyers trade up into the top 10. He'd stay the course, get 2 good first round players. In regard to the draft lottery process, Matthew Licinia goes, the NHL Draft Lottery is awful and needs to be revamped. It's boring and unimaginative, as well as Christopher DiPieto saying that 12 to 16 usually works. You know what I mean? Like, why even have those teams involved in the process when they're just going to land right where their highest odds are anyway? Does the NHL Draft Lottery, does it need to be revamped?
Oh, I 1,000% agree with that. I think ESPN's overdoing it. I think they're just trying to. I like that they're trying to make it a show and they're making it as entertaining as they possibly can, but
with fake leaks.
With fake leaks, yeah. Which Bucci, thank you for actually not setting that leak, because I would have been pissed off if they fell to 5.
Right. Well, thanks to Dave Danforth too. He was the first one to let me know that tweet went out from Bucci and then got deleted. But it showed San Jose at 1, Utah at 2, and Chicago at 3. Obviously, it didn't work out like that. It was probably just a bay of teams. But anyhow, back to you.
You know what's funny? I was about to say, wait, Utah has a high, and then I stopped myself like, yes, they do.
So here's my question, and I didn't really pay attention. I wasn't really paying attention. Did anybody change spots? I think they ran 1 to 16 in order.
Well, here's what it was pre-draft. It was Sharks, Blackhawks, Ducks, Blue Jackets, Canadians, Utah, Senators, Seattle, Calgary, Devils, Sabres, Flyers, Wild, Pittsburgh, but that pick goes to San Jose, being that it's outside of the top 10. Detroit Red Wings and St. Louis Blues. Yeah, I was that pretty much verbatim, or
I think that was pretty much verbatim. I don't think there was any changes this year. I don't think anybody jumped. I think they went straight 1 to 16. Now, anybody in the chat, please, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody changed spots.
Interesting. Something to think about.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if anybody chimes in.
Again, please chime in if I'm wrong. Would love it. Would love to be wrong on this, but I think I'm pretty on point.
Hey, what's up, Chrome?
You're right.
He's picking his sis up from the airport. Oh,
Everything.
Never fun to do that, but hey, hopefully
safe travels.
Right, safe travels. But appreciate you dropping in here, brother. He says, I agree to the poll. Lots of assets to play around with this year.
Absolutely.
And Benny's Nation saying, no change. You are correct. Prism saying, Utah needs to be the Stormin' Mormons.
Oh, boy.
I'm on board. Let's go.
It'll be just the 2 slats for the Mormon church as their logo. But anyway...
I got the Utah Big Daddies.
The one I did like, honestly, was I did really like it was the Blizzard. I thought that would be a really cool name if you can come up with a really nice logo for it, similar to kind of like the Avalanche kind of did theirs.
Right.
If you can come up with something cool for that, I think the Blizzards could be a pretty badass name for a hockey team.
What's wrong with the Coyotes? Can't they keep that name?
No. Apparently,
Really?
Marwello is allowed to keep the name. And the history of the team is not traveling with them to Utah. So the banners and everything doesn't go with them.
Oh, geez.
All that is staying with Marwell. So obviously the NHL has every bit of a plan to get back to Arizona as soon as possible. If they're doing that. So
which sounds about right, because he never wanted the team to leave. He's been working on getting a deal done with, I think, Glendale to get the arena built, but he's got 5 years to figure it out. In 5 years, I think he might lose it all.
I believe so. I believe that was the terms of the deal that the NHL gave him.
Yeah, it was 5. I know it's 5 years. I know that for a fact. But it's kind of fun to think about. Prish just sent me a really funny.
Yeah,
So if you know what a Morbin dresses up as, then just imagine basically white dress shirt, black tie, black slacks, white helmet with a black cage. It's pretty funny.
You guys are bad.
Oh man, the memes are
I
gonna be they're gonna be spectacular.
I mean, you could call them the Mountain Lions. I mean, there's so many names you can come up with.
Yeah,
They're every fierce animal is lives in those mountains. So
I think they have 5 or 6 names copyrighted. Yetis.
yeah, they're
Blizzard, Venom.
they're known for supposedly a lot of Bigfoot sightings there. So
Yeah, there's a bunch of ones that they.
Sasquatch.
Well, the one that I don't like, that I mean, it could be cool if you do the logo right. The one is the Venom. I don't like that. I don't like that. But if you make a little badass logo, like, I'd again be all for it. But my vote's for the Blizzard.
I think if you go back to Arizona, you should try the Venom, only because of snakes, and you get you a little bit tighter with the Diamondbacks, so get
Fair
you a little
enough.
bit closer in the community. That's
Like
that's if you go back to Arizona. I mean, I'm thinking they're going to, but anyway, let's see here.
Well, they won't go back. From what I understand, in 5 years, it will be an expansion back into Arizona.
Oh, that's what I
So
mean.
they'll bring in another
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah,
But the team will stay
yeah.
in Utah.
The thing is, like, when they do that, they're going to have to expand by 4 teams unless they plan on changing the entire league around. But that's a whole other can of worms to talk about on another day.
to insist on wanting to play in Atlanta too.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, because then you got to, if you have 4 teams, because you got 4 divisions, you want it to be even. It's like, okay, so where are the other 2 teams coming? Houston could be one of them. So then are we going to get Quebec to finally return to the NHL in that expansion? That's an interesting thing to think about.
Bettman's dead set against any team in Canada getting another team, any city. So I don't know about that one. I hope so, but Kansas City has a arena that's been sitting there for years.
Hey,
It's like a 20,000 seat arena, and I think they have a minor league team playing there.
Bring back the Scouts.
Yep.
The Flyers used to beat them all the time. Absolutely bring back the Scouts. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, those are the folks that traded Barry Beck to the Rangers.
Right. So let's see. Swoopy's saying, Brad, keep those Rangers expressions and posts coming. They're awesome. I love them. Just stop with those Yankees win and Knicks posts. You're a hockey, but all you're a hockey guy all day.
Okay. Well, listen, you want to get on me about the Knicks posts? Yeah, I'm not really that. You guys know I like Rob when I go with Rob with basketball. I let Rob do all the talking and kind of just agree because that's not my sport. But I am a big Yankee fan. I mean, I had a season ticket plan with them for what 18 years. So, can't help that.
Let's see. Prism saying Atlanta, Houston, Quebec, and Hamilton, Ontario. That'd be my 4 teams: 2 U.S., 2 Canadian. That would be bold. They did that. That'd be crazy.
He's not going to do that. He hates Canada.
Oh, Pove, I see what you're doing.
If you want to show it, I just figured I'd leave it up there.
So
I think we should.
I think we should too. I think we should too. So should the Utah team be called the Storm and Mormons? This is what we would expect the uniforms to look like. So take a look. I think they should go Black Cage personally. I think they should go Black Cage personally, but I think other than that, it's perfect. We don't need to adjust anything.
They might have to fit though.
You got to get Matt Parker and Trey Stone involved in this somehow. You have to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Those people might have a fit if you do something like that, though.
I gotta say,
most
conservative hockey team I've ever seen. Right there.
They are the nicest people in the world, but they will not get that upset. And if they do, they're going to be extremely nice about it.
Really? Okay.
Just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
please,
You
please
I like
don't
it,
do
though.
that.
I mean,
It looks great.
it's great. It looks like a bunch of guys from The Office playing hockey.
Right.
Yeah.
Watch them win the cup
Most
in their
clearly.
first year.
Watch him chain smoking Camel filterless on the bench.
A couple of fax machines on the bench, coffee machine on the other side.
Listen, if Matt Parker or Matt Stone and Trey Parker have taught us anything about Mormons, they are amazing people, extremely nice, extremely friendly, and very welcoming. So let's go.
Well,
And
let's
that's the
see.
hockey. I mean, if we want to even go a little deeper, I'm going to go a little deeper because my mind's kind of starting to roll now. The hockey community is very welcoming for the most part, so it works. Just saying.
So they're gonna bring the Cooperalls back just for them. They're the only ones allowed to wear dress pants Cooperalls.
Yep.
Only one. Nobody
Just
else.
slacks. That's it. Not even Cooperalls. Just slacks. They got to wear slacks.
Just
over
slacks.
over
Regular slacks.
Got to wear the slacks over the gear. They don't even get to wear full-on hockey pants. They got to wear a girdle. It's got to fit somehow. You're not going to get them over hockey pants.
Players are just going to be like, "Oh man, you talk about torture." There's a
Especially
player I
those
don't
Power
like on the
Supremes,
team.
man.
If there's a player I don't like on the team, I'd be pulling them in and be like, "Hey man, listen, you've done nothing but get on my nerves this entire year. I am trading you to Utah. Have fun with that jersey and that uniform." He's like, "No, please God, no." Be like, "Get out. You're gone. Besides, you only scored 2 goals this year anyway."
Speaking of goals, Carolina wound up popping a game-tying goal there. Jake Ensel on a deflection.
Nice. Sorry, Brad, but nice. Got to root for the Canes.
It was a nice
you.
goal. It was a nice goal. Not much that Igor could do about it.
Meanwhile, he cheap shot at Shesterkin. I was like, just
that was like, wow. Especially I was just like, hey man, screw your goalie.
Rempe gave Freddie a little shoulder there.
I see.
Yeah, he didn't do it. Not enough to get a penalty, but if Drury really wants to fight Rempe, you're going to have to dig a 6-foot trench for Drury.
How tall is that guy? He is huge, Rempe.
6'5"?
No, 6'7" or 6'8". I'm not sure.
Is that just without skates or is that with skates?
No, that's without skates.
Jesus, so he must be like 7 foot something on skates. Good Lord. Man, this nice rough stuff there.
That wasn't an I'm gonna fight you. That's just back up off my goalie.
Yeah, pretty much.
And what would he really do about it? Seriously, what would he do about it?
Exactly what he just did. He's just gonna shove him and try and keep shoving him to the ice. That's all.
You know what? That goal was not accounted. That was kicked in. Scumbag. Of course, it's Getzel, the asshole from Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Did we speak to that? Scumbag.
You can trade the player, but you can't trade the shit out of him.
No.
He's still a penguin. He's still a penguin in his soul.
Yeah. He that went in off his skate, and he definitely moved his skate. They should have challenged that. I bet that just happened so fast that
it wasn't a distinct kicking motion, though.
Huh?
Actually, I think now from that angle, it looks like it went off his stick.
I thought it went off his skate.
No, I think it went off the lower shaft of the stick, almost near like where the heel is.
I see what you're saying, though. From a couple angles there, it looked like it.
Power play. That's the problem.
Let's see here.
No, it's too early in the game. You gotta give yourself time to bounce. Later in the game, I would definitely be on your side. Like you gotta at least challenge that, but I still think that was.
You don't want to give up a power play though.
Exactly. Later in the game when you're down and you need to try it, absolutely. I'm 1,000% on that. Like challenge that. Take the chance.
So Mike is saying Utah totems. Benny's saying Utah Polies mascot can be a bird.
What up, Benny? Where you been?
Yeah. Frank Gell saying be a waste of assets to jump into the top 10. There's Celebrini and then about 12 guys all around the same tier.
I agree to that partly. There's some guys that will definitely help.
Nah, I think it's spot on. I think there's that big, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, there's just, you know what I mean? Like there isn't a difference between 2 and 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a matter of opinion. I get it.
No, I get it. It's a fair opinion too, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. Like I said, Celebrini's the guy. There's no doubt about it in my mind. But when you go from 2 to 10, yeah, it might be other guys, but these are other guys that have a ton of talent that will definitely help the Flyers take a step forward next year.
And Heel Chrome once again saying, and also, I know we're going back a couple of weeks, but I absolutely do not trade Joel Farabee this offseason. I think there's other more expensive pieces that can bring back a decent price, or I'm sorry, decent piece or pieces. So with that, we might as well ease our way into that as we're getting closer to land here on the show. Flyers offseason rumors. I mean, obviously, we should probably talk about, since other pieces that could bring in more decent pieces are possible. What about Scott Lawton? You didn't make the trade at the trade deadline. What about the offseason? Or do you see a draft trade with him?
You guys can go.
I think you missed your opportunity to trade Lawton during for the deadline or what have you. Now during the offseason, sure, could they pull off a deal? I don't think it would involve a draft pick, but I don't think you're going to get the kind of return because there was a strong need for center. Is that need present? Peace out, Arlene Dufford. Thanks for joining us. Honestly, I mean, I get wanting to hang on to all of your young pieces, but as you're grouping and you're getting a large grouping within the pipeline, right? You can't take for granted guys that have shown the ability to get it done on the NHL level, and Farabee has done that, but he's also disappeared for times as well. Is there going to be a spot for him down the road when you get all of these guys up here? I guess you want to make sure you have as many eggs in the basket. Like I said, my gut is to hold on to Farabee, right? But eventually you got to clear room for some of the younger guys, right, that are going to come in. Not saying that Farabee's old. He's certainly there to be either a trade piece or part of this future. It depends on the relationship, as we talked about with John Tortorella. When it comes to, I think, in terms of what this team needs to get done, though, this offseason, and I think I would not wait until next offseason when Travis Konecny becomes a free agent. I would try to extend him now, coming off the year that he had, right? Certainly being, all-star, setting career, goals, assists, points, marks, right? His value is only going to go up, boys. And I think, actually, I don't think, I know TK is going to have a dominant, like this is going to be the best year yet in 2024-25, especially if it's, to prove it in free agency. But I would like to see that extension get done this offseason because, you're going to, he's going to be due for a pay raise, right? He was getting $5.5 million in his 6-year, $33 million deal. That's going to go up based on what we've seen from him on and off the ice, the leadership. But if you wait till after this season, you risk ruffling feathers and him maybe wanting to test the free agent market and that price going up. Get him now when he's quoted in this Jordan Hall article on NBC Sports Philadelphia saying, I love Philly and I don't want to go any other place. Just get it done now. Get it done.
Yeah, I back that 1,000% right now. That is the guy. He may not be the captain, but to me, he's the face of the franchise. He's the guy that, the people are buying all his jerseys. Everybody's cheering him on. Everybody wants to see Konecny do well. A lot of people clamoring for Konecny to be the captain. Got to get him signed immediately, as soon as you possibly can. Don't want him to test free agency, because if he tests free agency, he's probably not coming back.
Right.
And especially if
you get a lot of money. You get a lot of money if he tests free agency.
He probably could, but I mean, if what he says is true about him loving Philly, Danny and Jonesy need to be smart and need to get him locked up now.
He definitely fits Philly. He fits the city. He fits the attitude of the city. He fits the culture of the city.
Player.
Oh yeah.
What did you say?
He's like a $6 to $7 million player now.
Oh, I don't argue that.
7.5. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't argue that at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, but if you let him go to free agency, you could see 8, maybe 9.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, 9 might be a little bit of a stretch, but he could probably get 8 from the right franchise. Absolutely.
And here's how he still fits the rebuild, too, because if you still say the Flyers are 2 or 3 years away from being that contending team that we spoke about earlier, he'd be 29 or 30. I think that's still within the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mike is saying, though, do you trade TK for the future of the franchise? No, because I think TK is a part of the future of the franchise. So I wouldn't necessarily do that.
Core piece.
Benny's saying, you attempt to sign him through the deadline. If it doesn't get done, you move him. Interesting. He also says, looking back, not sure why the need to even name a captain last year. I agree.
That was a Jones and Briere move.
It was, and listen, I get that. By the way, the Hurricanes just took the lead.
Right. Benny does a great notion, though, because if you don't get it done by the trade deadline, what's TK going to be doing? You know what I mean? He's going to be even more motivated, right, than we've seen him after setting career levels and goals and points, right? And then if you do have to wind up trading him and go that route, and you know what I mean, I'd rather sign him. But if you have to go that route, you're going to get the most return then, too. So it's a win-win.
Right. That's a good point, Rob, because if you're not getting a deal done in the offseason and you haven't even gotten anywhere to it in the trade deadline, even if you're getting a little closer or you're almost there and it's still not happening, it's like, you know what? It's just not going to happen. You know, that's when you throw your hands up. You're like, all right, he wants too much. He just wants too much and we can't sacrifice it. But let's just put good vibes out there and let's say that's not going to happen. Let's will that into existence that Konechny isn't going anywhere. That will take care of that and it'll get done. So,
totally agreed.
There's so many ways they could go, though. It's what's good. Right. It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So so Brad, who scored that goal for the Canes?
Well, I think it was Orlov.
Orlov?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, another deflection goal.
5 seconds to go in the period.
Well, good thing it's the first.
Those kind of goals for you.
Yeah. I mean, what killed Carolina in game 1 was the Rangers power play looked really good in the first period in game 1. Did
you guys
with that?
Oh God!
You guys see that?
They were bad on the penalty
yesterday. Yo, did you guys see what Boston did to Florida yesterday?
Yeah,
I mean,
I watched that.
Jim Montgomery, right there, man. That man knows how to coach. He called the timeout at the perfect time, and he said, "Wake up!" And my God, they unloaded.
Quick question: Should we as Flyers fans be rooting for Boston so Florida we get like a higher pick? Is there some congruency there?
No, I can't root for Boston. I just can't. It makes me sick to my stomach. Yeah, I know I picked them to go to the finals and everything, but it's like that's just because my hockey sense is unfortunately telling me this. But I can't.
I'm pulling for Boston.
I can't stand Florida, guys.
I'm sure.
Kachuk just is one of those guys that when you see his face, you just have this unbelievable urge that you want to punch him in the face. I don't know why, but it's just him and his brother are both just despicable human beings. I'm sure they're nice outside the rink, but in the rink, they're despicable human beings. And they need to lose as often as possible.
I feel so slimy for wanting Boston to win. Like I feel like I could just.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, but if the Rangers beat the Canes, the Rangers
go get a shower, bro.
3 times this year. So
I got a few minutes before I can do that, Rob.
That'd be a really bad idea.
Send you to the shower.
Yeah. We'll see Brian after.
You guys just so live. I come out and wear nothing but a towel. It'd
be like, what was it? I think Snoop Dogg had a stream on Twitch that was gone for like 5 or 6 hours. He rage quit Madden. He didn't come back until like 5 or 6 hours later. Realized he was still streaming, and then he turned it off.
That shit was funny. I remember seeing that. That was hysterical. I don't disagree. I disagree with Swoopy and Hayes here on potentially going after Mitch Marner.
Oh, okay. That's the one. Okay.
He's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal all-around player. Yes, he's pass first, but the dude can shoot the puck. He's a true first-line center. Flyers don't have that at the moment. I think they could. I think Coots can if he can be healthy, but Mitch Marner just helps. He solves a lot of problems.
Here's the thing, though. If he's having
costs a lot.
Here's the thing, though. Do
He
you
also
think that he
getting
would
paid a lot.
handle?
Mhm.
I don't think he'd handle here well. I don't like the reason I say it. I don't think he'd fit with Torts. I think he'd be one of those players that would not gravitate towards Torts at all, because he was crying and bitching and moaning during the playoff series. And Sheldon Keefe looks like he's a guy who likes to pamper you, as from what's been seen. I think Marner's too used to that. I don't think he would fit with Torts' scheme at all. I just don't think that'd be a good idea. Be a waste of money, in my opinion.
It's going to cost a ton to get him too. So that's the other
Right.
thing. Right now, if I'm the Flyers, I'm not. Do I entertain the idea? Because the rumors out there, you absolutely have to entertain it. Pick up the phone and call Toronto and say, "Hey, we have interest in Marner. What's it going to take?" If the price is too high, you just say, "Nah, we're good," and hang up.
I mean, Benny said you would put him on the line with Tyson. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing if if he's at the top of his game and he's working with Tyson. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. But again, it's something to be said for the guy himself. Is he going to fit here? And I don't know if he's one of those players that fits here. That's just my make of him. I just don't think he fits.
Tyson and Mitchkov. Imagine.
That's amazing right there.
Oh gosh, he may not, Swoopy. He may not be listed as a center. He can play center. He plays center for Toronto. He plays center on the power play. He can play center. Just because he's not listed as a center doesn't mean he can't.
Plus, also, he has the no movement clause anyway. That's in his contract. So
he said he'd be willing to waive it.
He would.
Toronto's got to shake it up somehow.
Well, no, and you're correct. I absolutely believe. And if they're not going to fire Keefe, then it's like, okay, so then what are you going to do? It's like, and you should fire Keefe, by the way, but or get rid of Shanahan. You have to do one of the two, and they're not. It doesn't seem like they're planning on doing that. So, if you're going to trade Marner, then who knows? I don't know if the Flyers are on his list. That's the other thing too. It's like he's got the power in this case, you know.
Yeah.
So
and, I mean, when he's on the power play with Austin Matthews and William Nylander on the same line, who's going to play center? Austin Matthews can play center. He's another one that, sometimes you got to put him on the wing. That way he gets that opportunity outside the circle to take that shot on the power play. Marner can play center. He may not be a center, but he can play center. Just put the right guys around him.
I think the Flyers should stay away from him. Personally,
I do too.
I
wouldn't.
I mean, that's a whole. For me,
he's not the guy you want to bring in. He's the guy that whole team. Nobody on that team ever got over the hump, and they all choke in big games. He's not the guy for me. I wouldn't even want him on my team.
I'm going to say right now, I think it's also not just him. I think it's a combination of things. So, but I do think he is a part of the problem, but I think it's a whole combination of you don't have the right coach, you don't have the right system in play, and you don't have the right players working with each other. There's a number of problems you got going on in Toronto, and you don't have goaltending either. I mean, Wool did what he could, but Samsonov was a dice roll in this series.
He played well in the last game, though. I mean, that wasn't
right, but and Mike does bring up Mitchkov could be over this summer, and I just realized we got about a minute left. We were having such a good conversation. Damn, it's amazing how fast time flies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But finish things up. Priz saying Tavares has to go. His money age, decline in production. Benny saying, has it come out regarding what happened to Austin? I don't think he said what it was. He said it was flu-like, but I think that was the most you got out of him. For saying Utah was really aggressive. They said they'll look to compete right away. Marner storming Mormons. I could see Utah doing it. Think about it, branding. I could see them pulling something like that to get their brand off the ground immediately.
I didn't put the game on.
So, with that being said, anything you guys want to throw out there before we close this sucker out?
One thing I want to say: how come Matthews was not nominated for the Hart Trophy?
That's a good question, actually.
Good question.
That's a very good question.
That was my. I wrote that down so I wouldn't forget it.
That's a
I
great question.
saw that. I was like, I got to bring that up because I don't get it.
That is weird. You would think he'd be a shoo-in for it, or at least a nomination.
He wasn't even nominated.
That's what's weird. That's weird.
69 goals on the year, not nominated. There's something up there.
Yeah, there is something up there. Huh. What was it?
I don't want to take
Bettman
anything away from the other three guys, but I think he should have won it. 69 goals.
What is going on here? But what are the hockey writers smoking right now? But anyway,
I want some.
yeah, it must be some real good
Sorry,
stuff.
did I say that out loud? Not bad.
Hey, it's legal in New Jersey.
I like hearing it though.
Oh, but anyway, Rob, did you have anything you want to throw out there?
Nah, brothers. It's just, something. The NHL Draft Lottery needs to be revamped. It is boring. It is predictable, and it also results in, I think, the wrong decisions being made too when it all comes said and done. So I what that new system is, I'll leave that for the smarter minds than me.
Seconded.
Right. All right, then. And that will take care of this edition of the Hockey. Caught myself. Flyers Talk, A2D.
You were into the third word. That counts. Sorry.
All right. I will serve my 2 minutes. Fine, but I do this under protest, ref. Anyway.
Get him.
I'm walking out. Little walkout protest.
All right, so we thank everybody for joining us for another edition of Flyers Talk A2D. We will be back, of course, next week. We'll have plenty more to talk about. We'll see if some big rumor mill talk gets stirred up with the Flyers. And also, of course, the playoffs are still very much in full swing. So we'll see what happens. 2-1 still at the end of the first between the Hurricanes and the Rangers. We were brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal. Give him a call if you have any aches and pains, or go to www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Get rid of those aches and pains. All right, everyone. You stay safe. You stay healthy out there. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and that bell button. And we will see you guys next week right here on a2dradio.com. Peace and love.
Flag on the play.